Tallinn is one of the oldest cities in the region of the Baltic Sea. Tallinn was first mentioned in historical documents in 1154. Tallinn has had several names as Lindanisa, Kolovan, Reval, and finally Tallinn. Medieval Tallinn was divided into two separated parts, Lower Town and Upper Town, called Toompea. Toompea was the center of the governing power. There lived clergy and local nobility. Toompea was secured by a defense wall. There were defense towers in every corner of this fortress. One of these towers, Tall Herman, is the most famous symbol of Tallinn. At the top of Tall Herman, there waves the Estonian blue, black, white flag. Toompea Castle is now the residence of the Estonian Parliament, Riigikogu. Also, the residence of the Estonian government is located in Toompea, in Stenbock's house.
Now we are in the upper time. The most remarkable building on Toompea Hill is Toompea Castle. The castle was built in the 13th century by Danish King Valdemar II, and it was rebuilt by Catherine II, Empress of Russia, in the 18th century. The castle is in late Baroque style. In the front of castle was coat of arms, the symbol of the Republic of Estonia. In the castle used to work the government and the Parliament of Estonia. Now all houses of Toompea Castle belong to the Parliament. The Estonian Parliament has 101 seats. Opposite Toompea Castle, there is the Orthodox Church with 5 iron domes dedicated to Alexander Nevsky, the Grand Duke of Novgorod. The church was built during the time when Estonia was part of the Russian Empire.
The medieval town stone wall was built in the 13th, 16th centuries. The Ingrian and Swedish bastions and the Estonian bastion are the best preserved parts of Swedish-style fortifications. According to the defense plan, 11 bastions and 6 ravelins were to surround the town. Only 3 of them were completed because the plan was very expensive for the town. The Ingrian and Swedish bastions were just before the town had to capitulate to the Russian army in the Northern War. The tunnels inside the bastions were used to shelter the ammunition and the soldiers from the enemy's fire. These tunnels and bastions were never used in real military activity. In 1937, the tunnels were adapted to become air raid and gas raid shelters for about 1,000 people. In Soviet times, the civil defense shelters were established in the tunnels. At the end of the 1980s, the passages were used as storage room for art sculptures. The art had to be taken elsewhere. In early 1980s, some homeless and hippies used them for shelter until the beginning of a new millennium. The work of cleaning the passages started in 20 4, and they were first opened to the public on February 27. The open passages are 260 meters long. The new display was completed in 2010. An interesting fact, in the tunnels lives the endangered European cave spider. Metamenardi viimane lause läks maha.
Kik in the Kök is 6-storied cannon tower with 57 embrasures. It was built in the 15th century, and it was the most powerful tower on the Baltic shores. Its name, Kik in the Kök, means in Lower German peep into the kitchen, as it was possible to look down from it into the kitchens through large open chimneys. During Russian siege in 1577, in the Livonian War, the tower was badly damaged, but it survived. And in memory of this event, some large stone cannonballs were walled into its southern face. Later, before Northern War, the tower was further fortified. Its 2 lower stories were hidden behind earthen bastion. And in 1960s, the tower was converted to the museum. Its entry is on the 3rd level, as 2 lower stories are behind bastion. And if someone wants to see its real height, 45 meters, he must look it from the side of lower tower. And the tower is used also for photo exhibitions and concerts.
Town Hall Square. In medieval times, the center of the old Town Hall Square was always a busy marketplace. The moderately sized square is surrounded by a ring of ancient houses that have witnessed many events. It was here that news and laws were proclaimed. In the old times, in the center of the square stood a pillory where criminals who had been sentenced to death were hanged. Today, the Town Hall Square is one of the liveliest spots in Tallinn. The main town hall was first mentioned in 1322. The first famous feature of the Tallinn Town Hall is its weather vane, Old Thomas, one of the symbols of Estonia's capital. Tallinn's town hall, which gave the square its name, is the only Gothic town hall of its kind to have survived in the Baltics to the present day. The Town Hall Pharmacy. The Town Hall Pharmacy is one of the longest continually operating pharmacies in Europe. It was first mentioned in the Chronicles of 1422.
The Niguliste Museum is located in a building of a former church. It was built on the 13th century. It is a beautiful example of late Gothic architecture in Estonia. The permanent exhibition introduces historical sacred art that can be enjoyed in its historical context. The most outstanding exhibits include two unique artworks made by famous Lübeck masters. The wind altarpiece produced in the workshop of Hermann Rode and an original fragment of the famous painting Dance Macabre by Bert Notke at the 15th century. The silver chamber of the Niguliste Museum exhibits silver treasures of Tallinn Guilds, the Brotherhood of the Blackheads and the Estonian churches from the 15th to the 20th centuries.
The Holy Spirit Church of Tallinn, mentioned first in 1316, has remarkable art treasures such as a folding altar from 1483 in late Gothic style with the composition of the descent of the Holy Spirit and with the side panels with paintings and sculptures of the saints. The creator of altar was a Lübeck master, Bert Notke. The late Renaissance pulpit from 1597 with its crown-shaped soundboard is decorated with sculptures of the saints and presented to the church by Burgermeister Heinrich von Lohn. The Holy Spirit Church of Tallinn is the only one in Estonia which has the Pope's Bible with 57 pictures from the biblical plot.